Hello everybody and welcome back to Gentoo. I'm your host, Gabe Chadwick.
And I'm your other host, Evan Saxton.
We're your favorite place for all things gaming and tech related.
Sorry we were gone this last week.
Mother Nature decided that we're not allowed to come into the studio, but I don't play games with Mother Nature.
And speaking of gaming and tech news, let's hop right into this week's patch notes.
PlayStation had its annual State of Play broadcast for everything PlayStation. During the broadcast, Borderlands 4 was announced to be coming September 23rd, featuring all new movement abilities and devastating action skills. A full trailer will be releasing later this spring. Another announcement was an on collaboration between Dave the Diver and Yakuza Like a Dragon, throwing Ichiban and Dave into a beat-em-up style adventure when this DLC for Dave the Diver releases in April. Days Gone is getting a remaster set to release April 25th. Digimon announced their latest game, Digimon Time Stranger, enhanced with a new battle system and fan favorites like Agumon and Omegamon. Splitgate 2 has been announced and drops its alpha on February 27th, featuring 3 teams of 8 on a map 20 times bigger than the original games. Let's just hope it doesn't die 20 times as fast as the last time. There's plenty more in the State of Play, but unlike Splitgate 2, we're gonna move on.
Civilization 7 has been released to mixed reviews, while Civ 7 takes some bold steps in a new direction, featuring the ability to change civilizations throughout the game, new town types, and new leaders. Several anchors have weighed down the new launch, with user interface being the main gripe of most players. Textures not lining up, looking unpolished, and several bugs and glitches have been some of the biggest issues. On top of that, the new map generation seems to be only partially functional. While overall it seems Civ 7 will be a solid game, its poor release has left some wondering if the game was rushed just to even get it out. Not like that's ever happened before though. No Man's Sky.
Oh yikes, yeah. I don't want to think about the disaster of a launch, but I heard it's pretty okay now. The legendary game of Gwent from The Witcher 3 is finally coming to the real world. Have you spent hours of your life gambling away with Gwent instead of following the main quest line? Well, now you can ignore all the responsibilities of real life with the new Gwent card game released by CD Projekt Red.
I can't wait to spend hours playing that. I'm not going anywhere for 2 weeks when that comes out. The playtest codes for Elden Ring Night Ring have been sent out for a lucky few who have gained access to the closed beta of the new action RPG developed by From Software. Night Ring is an expansion to the base game of Elden Ring. Some of the leaks that have gotten out before the full release have shown some old familiar foes from Dark Souls 3, including the Nameless King, one of the toughest bosses from Dark Souls 3.
Epic has brought down the gauntlet on a player caught cheating during the 2023 Fortnite Championship Series. The player known as Repulse God fraudulently qualified for the FNCS Global Championship that offered a $4 million prize pool. Epic has forced the player to post an apology video and will be forced to donate their prize money to charity. Good for those kids. Let's hope they don't waste it on V-Bucks.
Speaking of blowing money away, Overwatch 2 has brought back loot boxes. That's right, digital gambling is back, baby. Well, not entirely. Loot boxes can't be purchased, but instead earned through both the free and premium Battle Pass missions and events. So I guess I'm just gonna have to go back to spending my mortgage on Counter-Strike cases.
Huawei, a Chinese tech giant, has released their Trifold phone. While called the Trifold, it's more of a tri-screen that folds twice, but comes in at a price that's not so nice at about $3,662. When completely unfolded, the screen reaches 10.2 inches and is only 3.6 millimeters thick, or in freedom numbers, 0.14 inches.
And that covers our news for this week. Make sure to stick around to check out our special guest, a developer for Marvel Rivals. But now, let's roll the shows.
Welcome back to Surviving Horror, where we take a look at different horror games and dissect what is the scariest aspect of each story, in my opinion. This week we're taking a trip to Mount Massive Asylum to talk about Outlast, released in 2013 and developed by Red Barrels. Outlast is a first-person horror game where you play as investigative journalist Miles Upshur. After getting a tip from a whistleblower about some potentially inhumane experiments, you break into the asylum on a dark and stormy night, only to discover that the inmates have taken over. Similar to Until Dawn, Outlast is a bit different than your typical survival horror game. But whereas Until Dawn plays out more like a movie that you play, Outlast is more of a walking simulator set in the horror genre, where you're running through this asylum and trying to avoid all the maniacal inmates that inhabit it. What makes Outlast and other games like it stand out to gamers like myself is the fact that you are placed in one of the most horrific scenarios conceivable to man, and you have no way of defending yourself. In the walls of Mount Massive Asylum, you stumble across the lowest of lows that mankind has to offer, and the only thing you can do to evade them is to run away or hide and pray they don't find you. If there is one thing that I think Outlast does better than any other horror game, it's making the player feel completely helpless, which is what makes the game so scary. Other horror games will give you a ranged or melee weapon to fend off against the villains, but the only equipment you are given is a video camera at the beginning, which is your only source of light throughout the game. It's powered by batteries and begins to run out of energy the longer you use night vision, forcing you to be conservative with the batteries throughout the game. And if you use all of them, you may reach a pivotal point in the game without any knowledge of the horrors that lurk around you. And before you know it, it's too late, and you have to restart at your last checkpoint. Being so helpless in this horrific scenario, it was important for the creators of the game to make the inmates of the asylum actually scary and not just generic bad guys. But the characters you're up against in Outlast have frightened people who have picked up the game for years, whether it's the psychotic Dr. Richard Traeger or the hulking monster Chris Walker. The enemies will chase you for long periods of time, and they will not stop looking for you until you complete the objective at hand. But as the night unfolds, the player discovers some of the documents that are scattered around, and begins to wonder if the inmates in the asylum are truly sinister, or just failed experiments trying to keep the true evil of the asylum from getting out. As you get to the last section of the game, questions are answered about the origins of this asylum, and the catalyst for the horrors you witness is revealed. Even after 12 years, Outlast has continued to scare gamers worldwide. It spawned 2 sequels and a DLC. The series as a whole has sold over 15 million units across multiple platforms. If you have played the game, please let us know what you think of it down below. Check back with us next week as we journey to the USG Ishimura. This has been Jake Walker with Surviving Horror.
Hello, welcome back to the Easter egg collection. I am the Easter egg collector, Adam Hunter. I have picked out several Easter eggs from my collection from the game Far Cry 5. If you don't know what Far Cry 5 is, it is a first-person shooter RPG-esque kind of game where you have to defeat waves and tons of enemies from missions and outposts to eventually defeat the head honcho of said game. But I have specifically picked Far Cry 5 because A, is one of my favorite games, and B, I think there's some fun Easter eggs that we can look at. So, let us begin. Our first part of our Easter egg brings us to a haunted house in the Hudbane River. So the first part of this Easter egg would be to turn on the power. Once we turn on the power, we find ourselves some mysterious figure peering out at the top of the barn. So any sane person would go investigate. Once we get inside the barn, we find that it's a fun haunted house with fun and scares. Once we reach the end of the haunted house, we find ourselves to the roof where we reach Easter egg. We find ourselves a TV full of static, a mysterious red balloon, and this message. Our second Easter egg brings us to Dancy's cabin in the Whitetail Mountains. Our first step is to activate this prepper stash called Gone Squatching. And to do this, we need to scale the mountain until we reach this note here. After reading the note, you should hear this.
sane people we are, we go investigate. Once you reach the top of the mountain, grapple down from this point, and at the bottom you will find a cave with poor Dansky's corpse on it. You will also find more corpses and bones around here, and this is the Sasquatch's caves that he lives in. But if I'm gonna be his next lunch, which I really don't, I'm gonna grab this key and get out.
Thank you guys for joining me as I show off pieces of my collection on the game Far Cry 5. And I will see you guys next time.
Welcome back to our special guest segment of Gentoo. This week, in lieu of some big news over at NetEase, the creators of Marvel Rivals, we have brought on one of the developers.
Well, thank you, Gabe. I can't tell you how much it means for you guys to have me on Gentoo.
Well, we are your favorite place for all things gaming and tech related. And speaking of games, we heard that an entire design team in Seattle got fired. What happened?
Yeah, you've hit it right on the nose there, Gabe. We churn out an Overwatch killer that tops the charts, and I guess that's all they needed from us.
Won't they need you guys to stick around, keep the game fresh, have updates, stuff like that?
Well, you'd think so, Gabe. But they just came in and told us that we're being laid off due to organizational reasons.
Did they, care to elaborate a little bit more on that?
No. You'd think after giving them the bestseller that is still at the top charts on Steam, they'd at least give us some notice, but nope, they came and said hello and booted us out the door.
Well, I think some of our viewers might be concerned about hearing some of this, the impacts that what Marvel Rivals is going to look like in the future, stuff like that. Cutting a bunch of devs cannot be good for the health of the game.
That's what we said. But according to NetEase, we want to reassure our fan base that the core development team for Marvel Rivals remains fully committed to delivering an exceptional experience. Well, I'd like to see them do that without us.
What are you guys gonna do if they don't, if they make it without you?
Well, I guess get another job? What else?
Well, before we let you go, care to tell us a little bit more about upcoming news about Marvel Rivals?
You're gonna ask me to talk about the game that just laid me off?
Yes?
Okay. Fine, all right. Well, we are just about to release the Human Torch and the Thing, but since I'm cut, I'll give you some leaks too.
Well, please do go ahead then.
Well, look forward to seeing Ultron, Blade, Beast, Captain Marvel, Colossus, Cyclops, Deadpool, Gambit, Jean Grey, Jubilee, MODOK, Nightcrawler, Professor X, assuming he's a brown in a wheelchair, Quicksilver, and a whole bunch more. But of course, Gabe, I can't guarantee that these guys are gonna make it into the game, especially now that we aren't on the team to make sure that they do go in.
Well, that is a lot of characters, but I'm sorry you guys got dropped like that, but I am excited to still play the game that you got fired from.
That's great, Gabe. I'm so glad you're enjoying the game that we used to know.
Oh, sorry, well, that's about all the time we have. We're gonna have to let you go, okay?
Really? That's the line you want to use?
Yeah, sorry about that, but thank you for your time, and good luck job hunting.
Maybe I'll hit up Overwatch. I heard they brought back loot boxes.
Once again, Marvel Rivals developer, everybody. Well, let's hop right back into some shows.
Welcome to GTA Insight. My name is Joe Huber, and today we'll discuss this week's updates, including new cars, modes, missions, and deals. This week's are the Valentine's rewards with a lot of good stuff, so make sure to stay tuned. First, by signing in at any point, you can earn the following for your wardrobe: the Heartbreaker robe, the Heartbreaker bustier, the Heartbreaker boxer shorts. Additional clothing that you can earn through doing the following things include the Valentine's blazer by enlisting an associate or a bodyguard, and the pink heart shades by winning any 2 adversary modes. This week includes Till Death Do Us Part bonuses of 3 times rewards, as well as the Heartbreak pendant. The casino has bonuses this week, including story missions and casino work, making double rewards. Taxi work this week has bonuses of 2 times GTA money, and if you complete a drift race in the Annis ZR350, you will receive a Drift Junk limited time livery. This week, all the bars that offer Blutered champagne will be giving away free bottles this week. The Duggan robbery offer rewards this week by stealing the Albany Roosevelt Valor with a limited time vanity plate, which you can claim as your personal vehicle. Showroom displays this week include the following. From Premium Deluxe Motorsports, you can get the Benefactor Shafter LWB, the Dinka Jester, the BF Raptor, the Ocelot Lynx, and the Dinka Thrust. In luxury autos, they are offering the Classique Broadway and the Albany Roosevelt. If you win the LS Car Meet Series this week for 3 days in a row, you will earn the prize ride, the Impante Ruiner ZZ8. LS Car Meet test rides include the Canis Carrara, the Enos Paragon R, and the Vulcan Warner. HSW premium test rides this week is the Shijitsu Hikacho Drag, and the Casino Lucky Wheel top prize ride is the BF Club. This week's discount include 30% off Casino Master Penthouses, upgrades and modifications, the Dinka Sugio, the Classy Impala SZ, the Bravado Dorado, the Enos Paragon R, and the Buckingham Shamal. There's 50% off Valentine's clothing, the Progen Imerus, and the Pegassi Terrero XO. This week's gun van discounts for GTA Plus members include a free L Strickler and 40% off the Precision Rifle. For those without GTA Plus, you can get the Heavy Rifle for 50% off. Lastly, GTA Plus bonuses for this week include a free Vapid FMJ and the Honkers tie-dye hoodie and hat. That's all the updates for this week's GTA Insight. Tune in next week to learn more about what's new in GTA, and have an amazing week.
The place for all your nerdy news. How's It Gaming?
Hello, and welcome back to How's It Gaming, the new show all about the gaming-related stories in your local area. I'm Corby Raridan, and for today's story, it's all about a man from Aaronsville, Nebraska, who's training for a chance to follow his biggest dream. Let's check it out.
The world of fighting games is large. All over the world, people spend time learning and competing in all sorts of different, unique, competitive fighting experiences. Every game features a cast of colorful, dangerous, and sometimes scary characters. But how do these characters actually get onto the roster? Well, today we talked to Doug for an exclusive interview on how he plans to make the latest fighting game rosters.
Hey, my name is Doug, and I am auditioning to be in a fighting game. Ever since I was a little boy, I've always dreamed about being in a fighting game. I want to be someone so iconic, you recognize them the second you see them on screen. Someone so cool, you look forward to playing them every time you load up the game. That is what I want. I know some people might look at me and think, who does this guy think he is? Or ask, why? And to that I say, although I may not look the part, I know I have what it takes to prove all the doubters wrong. Do I have any superpowers or abilities? No, but does that hurt my chances? I don't think so. Look at Stryker in Mortal Kombat 9. He's a normal cop, and he made it in just fine. There's no game in particular that I'm gunning for. I'm just hoping to throw a wide enough net that at least I have some options. But if I had to choose, I would say an ideal game would be something like Street Fighter or Tekken. They seem to keep it pretty professional over there, you know? Smash Bros would be awesome, but they have super strict guidelines to even get in. I mean, I said the word Mario once, and they booted me for copyright infringement. Can you believe that?
Although the audition process has been tough for Doug, he finally received some good news.
Oh yeah, I got my first callback. Mortal Kombat said I might have what it takes. They're having me come over to spar with one of their fighters later this afternoon. I don't know much about that series, but I do believe they'd like to fight a little dirty. It should be a fun, harmless matchup. I am heading out right now, and I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit nervous. They said I'm facing up against some guy named Scorpion or something. I don't know, but whatever it is, we'll find out when we get there. So now that I'm here, they told me the sparring's gonna begin as soon as he gets finished warming up. So I just get to watch from in here and see what I'm up against. Oh, so that's Scorpion. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh, what the? Oh my. That was the first round? He's still standing after that? Whoa. Ugh. Jeez. I think he's had enough. Wait, finish him? No. What the? What are you doing? Oh my gosh.
All right, Scorpion is all ready for you now. You can head on in.
Yeah, so I think fighting games aren't for me. I'll just audition for a farming sim game or something instead. Yeah. Well, it seems like that's all the time we have for this episode of How's It Gaming. Be sure to come back next week for our next major story. I've been Corby Raridan, and this has been How's It Gaming. Have a good one.
And that wraps up this episode of Gentoo.
We hope you enjoyed the patch notes and the shows. Make sure to leave a comment down below telling us which is your favorite.
And while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to not miss any of our future episodes.
We'll see you guys next week.